So obviously, the purpose is for us to be like that faithful, obedient servant that we see in the very beginning. So in thinking about that, the faithful servant, it says that he's doing his job. Let's think about that just for a second as far as our context. What does it mean, like, to be doing our job as Christians? I think some people boil it down to, well, and we talk against this often about like having a checklist of things, almost like a parent giving their kids chores and saying, here are your chores for the day, go through and check them off and make sure you're doing this. I do think there are certain things as Christians that we are like obviously commanded to do and need to do out of pure obedience. But what is it even more broadly than that? What are your thoughts on what it looks like to do your job as a Christian and to be faithful in that?
Yeah, I think like you said, sometimes it's not a good thing to just boil it down to a checklist, but that checklist is kind of part of what God asks you to do. Like in order to know him better and to know his will and what you should do in your life, you have to be reading his word. You have to be in prayer. All these things that you need to be in church and fellowshipping with other believers and all these things that we talk about. But the heart has to be there and have a desire to grow closer to the Lord and to do the things that he wants you to do as his servant. I think that, the faithful servant would be one that is doing those things without ulterior motive, without it being like a required thing that they don't really want to do, but they're going to do it anyway because they know that maybe later they're going to get credit with the Lord, or one that is actively looking for ways to serve others instead of having it always be something that is kind of begrudgingly done because they think that it's the right thing to do, but it's not done with joy in their heart, with a desire to help others. And so I think it's mostly doing those things that we know we should do, but doing them with a desire to know God better and to be obedient to him, and with a cheerful and generous heart, I think is kind of the difference there.
Did you lose your voice there?
I don't know.
You started like tapering off there at the end, man. Is it the pickle blonde?
That vinegar is like sucking the moisture out of.
How are you doing over there, Joel? Have you recovered yet?
I don't think I'll ever be the same.
Okay. Well, it's life changing.
When you eat those vinegar chips,
yeah,
it's like just the moisture's gone from
Well, yeah. Not only will you appreciate cheese and crackers more, you're going to appreciate a drink.
Water,
everything.
Drink
more. Yeah,
life's going to be richer.
Yeah. I think when you think about the idea of like just doing your job, it's, we have this list of things that we know that we're supposed to do as a Christian, but kind of like what you said, I think some of it is linked into not just doing what we're supposed to be doing, but our attitudes toward doing those things as well. I'll give you an example. Like if you go to a restaurant or something like that, and you've got a server at a restaurant, there's a big difference, like for somebody who enjoys their job and is trying to like really do it well and have a good attitude about it versus somebody who's just there, like they might bring you your food or take your order or whatever, but their attitude, you can tell that they'd rather be working somewhere else or doing something else.
It's like technically the same job got done, but way different results.
Yeah, and I think that's a big part of it is that. Now, I'll say I think that kind of ebbs and flows in our lives at different times. Like maybe there are some times where we go to church out of, that we just feel obligated to do it or whatever, versus like really feel joyful in it. And let me just say, like, I don't think we should only go to church when we feel like going to church. Mm-hmm. I don't think we should only read our Bible when we feel like reading our Bible. Sometimes, and that's why we call it spiritual discipline. Sometimes we just have to do it because we know it's good for us. It's just like drinking water or something like that. Like, there are times like you right now, you'd love to have a drink of water, and you're like, man, that would just help me out. And
I'm seeing like like behind you, I see the Coke can, and
yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
oh man, a nice Coke.
And then there are times that you're like, well, I know I don't really want water right now, but I know I need to be drinking it. And you're just making yourself do it because you know it's good for you. And I think being faithful is staying steadfast regardless of how we feel. However, if I do think those who are faithful and truly committed to the Lord are going to have that right spirit primarily in their lives because they're close to the Lord.
I was going to say that example of the waiter. It's like there are going to be days where that waiter is having a bad day and doesn't really feel like being at the end. And so, yeah, I think, like you said, it's just the majority, the general way that you are is.
Yeah.